The Florida housing market just flipped. Not trending, not cooling, it flipped. We're seeing the biggest year-over-year shift in South Florida housing since the COVID boom ended. In Palm Beach and Broward County, inventory is piling up. Demand is falling off a cliff, and prices, especially at the top, are now heading in the wrong direction. And the numbers don't lie. The data tells the full story. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in Florida real estate, you need to understand exactly what's happening before you read it in the Wall Street Journal or before the headlines catch up, because it's impossible to profit off of yesterday's news. This is the July 2025 market update that you're not going to hear about in the news because it's in real time. And if you're waiting for your local real estate association to publish these numbers, just know you're reading something that is over 30 days old. It is old news. And I'm committed to sharing the truth so that you are in the best position to make the best decisions, whether you're buying or selling, for yourself, for your family, and for your financial bottom line. Now let's start with the biggest signal in the market today, which of course is inventory. In Palm Beach, June saw 5,507 homes for sale, which was up 24% compared to last year. And in just the first 11 days of July, we are still holding 5,376 active listings. That's 21.7% more than the same time last year. 22%. No bueno if you're thinking about selling a home. And to be clear, that's not normal summer growth. That is seller panic beginning to surface. But in Broward County, the numbers are even more dramatic. 17,849 homes listed in June, up 33.4% year over year. And July is holding at 17,692 homes, which is up 31% year over year. Which loosely translated means that sellers are flooding the market, but the buyers, they're ghosting. And here's the secret that's not really a secret. I suspect everybody knows it by now already. But the fact is, supply and demand will always dictate price. And demand is no bueno. Demand is collapsing. Where did all the buyers go? Well, in Palm Beach, June sales dropped 10.3% year over year. But so far in the first 11 days of July, they're down 28.6%, a damn near 30% drop in demand so far in July. No bueno. And yes, that is thunder that you hear in the background. That's because there is a massive storm coming and there will be a great reckoning. But the one thing you can always know is that in summer, during the summer season, it will always rain at 4 o'clock, right on cue. Period, end of story. It's just not open for debate. And it's also not up for debate that the market is softening. And sales dropping by 10.3% and then damn near 30% in consecutive months, that's not just softening. That's buyers sitting it out, either because they're priced out of the market or because they're waiting for the dip to dip even lower. And Broward tells the exact same story, but it's even worse because when I dip, you dip, we dip. June sales down 18.4%. Early July in the first 11 days down 25.5%, and year to date down 14%. And the trend is clearly not your friend if you're thinking about buying, unless you stick around to the end of this video and I can show you how to leverage the weakness in the market to your advantage. The reality is supply and demand will always dictate price. When sales fall, but listings rise, the balance breaks, and that's where price pressure begins to show up. And it's building up, especially if you're thinking about buying a condo. But I'll do a separate video on that because there's too much to cover. But as far as pressure building right now in today's market in Broward and Palm Beach County, from May to June in Palm Beach, the average sold price dropped by 14.4%. In early July, another 5.1% decline so far, and year over year down 8.5%. That's not just an adjustment, that's a real correction starting at the top. Broward County is a little bit more subtle, but it's happening. Average list prices are down 6.6% year over year. And sold prices are still hanging in there, still slightly up 4.9% year over year, but those sales are fewer, slower, and skewed towards the lower end, which of course is classic market behavior. Sellers drop list price first, the sold prices follow. It's a lagging indicator, but before too long, everybody's playing the catch a falling knife game, which is a game nobody wants to play. But the market can't go tick, tick, boom unless there's a lot more inventory. So let's get into that now. The month's supply of inventory reveals the real shift in leverage. Palm Beach County in June, 5.4 months of inventory, which was up 38%. Early July, so far, 7.4 months of supply, meaning homes sitting on the market unsold, up damn near 70% year over year. 69% to be exact. And my friends, that is deep into a buyer's market territory. One could argue that a balanced market is 5 to 6 months of inventory, but 7.4 months is not balanced. But that's Palm Beach. Broward County is much worse. June, 9.4 months of inventory, up 63%. So far in July, 10.8 months, up 75%. Massive imbalance between buyers and sellers. Massive distortion between supply and demand. Supply and demand will always dictate price. And we've already seen demand falling off a cliff. Now we see inventory skyrocketing. Because the reality of it is double-digit months of inventory is rare. And it's screaming one thing: too much supply, not enough demand. And it's not just softening. This is market inertia. The more inventory sits, the more price cuts stack up. So what does this all mean? If you're thinking about selling, no bueno, because you're no longer in control. The days of getting 20 offers, outbidding each other, frenzied to buy your home, those days are long gone. Unless you've got the right home in the right place, priced the right way, and then you can create a market within a market to bid the price higher. But by and large, those days are predominantly over. If you overprice your home, it will not sell, period. But if you're thinking about buying, you are in control. You have all the leverage. This is your market. You must negotiate. You must ask for seller credits. You must ask for rate buy downs. You must not be afraid to make a lowball offer if you find a desperate seller. And it's not too hard to find. Just look at how many days they've been sitting on the market unsold. And I'm certainly not one to break my arm to pat myself on the back, but the reality of it is, in this market, we just negotiated an incredible deal where the seller was willing to offer the buyer a 6% seller credit in order to pay down their mortgage interest rate. And we were able to get them, working with Ryan Brandenberger and the best team at Cross Country Mortgage, we were able to get them a 3-2-1 buy down, which meant their first year of the mortgage, 4%, then 5%, then 6%, and then it will readjust to 7%. But the odds of them not refinancing by the time Jerome Powell is out of office at the latest next year, when his term is over, are zero. Because the reality is, whoever comes in next is going to play the game that Trump wants them to play, and I suspect we're going to be looking at significantly lower mortgage interest rates, which unfortunately means if you don't capitalize on this buyer's market now while you can, the odds of you getting a deal on a home, in my opinion, are about 0%. Because as soon as they lower mortgage interest rates, which is really the 10-year treasury, when they start playing the games that they need to play to refinance all the debt that's out there, when they do that, I got news for you. The Florida market is going to explode to the upside, period. And yes, it is factually true that Broward and Palm Beach County are different than other markets. And of course, there are different markets that exist within Broward and Palm Beach County. But with all the stuff happening in New York right now, I suspect there's going to be another massive influx of high net worth individuals who want to live in Palm Beach County, which again will distort supply and demand. But make no mistake, this is not Cape Coral. Cape Coral is in big trouble, and there are lots of other markets within Florida that are in real trouble. And if you think these numbers in terms of supply and demand are bad, well then, stay tuned for one of my next videos because I got bad news. Other markets are getting completely destroyed. Palm Beach simply is not one of them. Yet.